Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. Tiger starter Rick Porcello has been good in his last two, including his last outing in Houston, starting which he went 7 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. Porcello walked none, struck out 7. He'll be on the hill today as the Tigers and Indians get together. Final game in this 3-game series at Comerica Park. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us. Happy Mother's Day to all the Tiger moms tuning in here this afternoon. A special Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Rose, and to my wife, Kathy. They are tuned in Metro Detroit today.
No doubt there will be some baseball here today, but today is all about the mothers. And with that being said, I'd like to wish my mother a very happy Mother's Day, and also my bride a very happy Mother's Day. I miss you both and can't wait to see you.
All right, how about Rick Porcello? He is going this afternoon, Rod, and Porcello in his last 2 has been awfully good.
You know, in one of those starts, it was against the Atlanta Braves, and he went out there and he really shut them down. The other one is Houston Astros, but he'll need to be as good in both of those starts today here against Cleveland. They're a really hot team.
They got one guy in their lineup who's doing very well this year, Carlos Santana, hitting .350. He will be a load in the middle of their lineup.
You know, his on-base percentage is approaching .450. Here's a guy that has some power. He hits from both sides of the plate. He will take a walk, tons of extra base hits. He's finally got some help in that lineup. He walked 97 times 2 years ago, 91 times last year. He won't reach those totals this year because he's got some help in Reynolds and Swisher and Michael Bourne, and also Asdrubal Cabrera last 2 weeks have really started to heat up. So Santana, one of those guys where it's fun to watch because he's a switch hitter, he's a catcher, he's got lots of power, and he hits right in the middle of that order.
Well, after a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios and join Mickey York. Coming up, it's the early season grudge match. Tigers won Game 2. Indians won Game 1, rather. The Indians Game 2. Who will win Game 3? Final game of the series. Coming up next. Back here at Comerica Park on a cool, crisp afternoon for baseball here at the ballpark. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen back here as the Tigers take on the Indians. Final game in this 3-game series. Happy Mother's Day to all of our Tiger moms out there. The starting lineup for the Indians presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. It'll be Michael Brantley leading it off today in left field, followed by Jason Kipnis and Asdrubal Cabrera, Swisher, Santana, Rayburn in the middle of the Cleveland lineup today. Chisenhall, Gomes, and Stubbs. Our bottom 3 for Terry Francona. They will face Rick Porcello, and he's presented today by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Tough task today for Porcello. This Cleveland Indians team swinging the bat very well. He's already started 6 games this year. The elevated earned run average, the cause of really just 1 game out west in Los Angeles, but he'll need to be on top of his game today. Let's take a look at the Tigers' starting defense presented by Beaumont Health System. Don Kelly getting a rare start in center field. Austin Jackson has been bothered by a sore left hamstring, therefore getting this one off, at least at the beginning of the game. And Brian Peña getting the start behind the dish. Avila getting the afternoon off.
Jackson out of there, so Kelly will patrol center field here this afternoon. Austin hopefully will take a day, and he'll be good to go for tomorrow night's ball game against Houston. Brian Peña, meanwhile, spelling Avila behind the plate. So we are ready for baseball here this afternoon. Each team has a victory in each of the first 2 games in this series. It'll be Michael Brantley to lead it off for Cleveland. Michael Bourne gets the day off, so it's Brantley, Kipnis, and Cabrera for the visiting Indians as the sunlight is doing its best to peek through the clouds here this afternoon.
And Michael Bourne spent about 3 weeks on the disabled list, and Michael Brantley got most of those starts in that leadoff spot.
Brantley batting .300, couple of hits in the series. Here's the first pitch of the ball game, and it's a strike called on Brantley.
Last time Porcello started for the Tigers, it was about 10 days ago, May 2nd, against the Houston Astros.
Here's Rick's 0-1 pitch. As you said last night, that kind of goes with the territory when you're in the 5th spot in the rotation, especially early in the season.
And you have 4 other guys that are pitching the way that they are pitching. That would be Pfister and Sanchez and Scherzer and Justin Verlander.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Slap foul, back out of play.
There's always some concern with a sinker ball, and when you give them too much rest, there are some pitching coaches and managers that are in fear of the fastball maybe straightening out and him not having that real good sink because he's had so much time off.
Porcello definitely relies on that sink. We saw it on display in his last outing. The 0-2 is chopped right back to the mound. Porcello will handle this one, and Brantley is out.
If he continues to throw that sinker ball at that velocity, about 92, with this kind of late life, he's going to have a really good day, and the Tigers infielders are going to be awfully busy.
Good sign here after 1 batter in this game. That'll bring up Jason Kipnis.
Well, really, Porcello just wants to keep these Indians off the board first here today. They've scored in the first inning in the first couple of games of this series, and to be perfectly honest with you, they've been outstanding in that regard all season long, outscoring the opponents in the first inning.
Kipnis has hit safely in his last 3, 2 out of 8 in the series. Missed it outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. You may notice the pink bats that both teams will be using today. Of course, the pink wristbands as well. You'll see these on Mother's Day. There's a strike called. In fact, since 2006, the Pink Bat Initiative was started by Major League Baseball to benefit Major League charities supporting the fight against breast cancer. So you'll see the pink bats today.
I wore a pink tie yesterday. I was a day ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you were just a day off. That's all right. There's Cabrera waiting on deck. That's rolled foul.
How about this play last night that Kipnis made? Jackson making a bid for a base hit and an RBI, and Kipnis went behind the bag and grabbed it and barehanded it to get it to Cabrera, and they almost turned 2. You will not see many better plays from the second base position than that one.
It's usually the type of play that the other guy, Cabrera, is making.
That's right.
But it was Kipnis who went behind his back, and however way you slice it, that saved the game for them last night. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Low 3-2 on Jason Kipnis. He has scored 3 runs in the series. He's walked a couple of times. This is a Cleveland team that offensively has gotten off to a very nice start. Tigers pretty much have matched them, though. Tigers scored a lot of runs, had 15 hits in that first game of the series. 3-2 pitch, fouled away.
Kipnis and both the on-deck hitter Cabrera really got off to slow starts this year, but both guys the last 10 days or so have really heated up. And you had Bourne at the top of that lineup on most evenings. It's a potent group, hitting ahead of Swisher and Santana and Mark Reynolds.
Kipnis stays alive. He hit just 200 in the month of April.
I know we talk a lot about that Kansas City Royals team and the way they've improved this offseason, primarily with their pitching. But this Cleveland team has gotten better, too. Some of their moves have gone under the radar.
Overall, though, I still think Kansas City probably a little bit deeper in the pitching department.
And that's what wins you championships, pitching and defense.
Another foul by Kipnis, and he is giving Porcello a battle here to the tune of 9 pitches in this at bat. Cabrera will be next, just underway here on a cool, crisp afternoon here in the Motor City. The wind blowing out to left field today. And as you can see, the sunshine has made an appearance for the start of this game. There's a drive that's caught on a mini leap by Infante at second base. Kipnis hit it hard after a long battle, 2 gone. We'll bring up Asdrubal Cabrera.
10 pitch at bat by Jason Kipnis. Omar had him played perfectly, just had to leave the feet to make the grab.
Cabrera sits safely in his last 3. He's had a nice series. Strike 1 on Asdrubal. 4 for 9 in this series, and when you look at his numbers, career against Porcello, awfully good. 382. Rick's 0-1. Checked it. Did he go? Yes, he went around. Dale Scott all bundled up down there at third. Said he went. 0-2. Porcello in search of the 1-2-3 first inning. Ball high, 1-2 the count. Cabrera off to a 238 start. We talked about his slow start this year, starting to come on a bit. He's had a couple of RBIs in the series and 17 driven in this year. Now the 1-2 inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Rick's got some heavy sink on that fastball today. That last one at 93, moving all over the place, and really has filled up that strike zone nicely. 18 pitches, 13 strikes so far here in the first inning by Porcello.
Breaking ball misses low. Full count now on Asdrubal Cabrera. Swisher waiting on deck, one of the new additions to this Cleveland team this year. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Bouncing ball back up the middle towards second, and Infante has it there. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning, couple of ground ball outs for Rick Porcello. Back here at the ballpark, it is a scoreless ball game so far as we head to the bottom of the first inning. The Tigers starting lineup is heading your way now. It's presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And for the Tigers, a couple of changes. Andy Dirks at the top, followed by Hunter and Cabrera. Fielders still batting cleanup. Martinez still DHing in the 5-hole. We got Kelly in center, Peralta, Peña, and Infante. The bottom of the lineup for the Tigers, and they are facing Zach McAllister.
Good year so far for McAllister. Checks in with 3 wins, 3 losses, and a sub-3 ERA. As a matter of fact, in all of his starts this year, Zach has not surrendered more than 3 runs in any of those outings. Fastball, get up to 93, 94, curveball, and a split-fingered fastball he's learning.
Dirks checks his swing on a pitch high, and he did not go, says Dale Scott.
Tigers are going to have to be aware of the fact that McAllister likes to work up in the strike zone with his 4-seam fastball, like he just did to Dirks. Tigers are going to have to lay off that pitch.
Good pitch there, right at the knees on the outer edge at 89 miles an hour. 1-2. Dirks is batting .239. He is 7 for his last 18, heating up a bit. And it evens now at 2-2. And he's been in several different spots in the lineup, leading off today. Wave and a miss, and McAllister strikes him out.
Let's take a look at the Cleveland Indians starting defense, brought to you by Tim Hortons. You have Brantley in left. You have Drew Stubbs in center field. Ryan Rayburn, the former Tiger, he's out in right field. Chisenhall, Cabrera, Kipnis, and Santana round out the infield. And Gomes getting his first start of the series behind the plate.
There's the former Tiger, Rayburn out in right. Hunter swings in the first and rips it right by Chisenhall at third. It's down the line. Torrey takes the turn and holds up with a single.
The reason why Chisenhall is playing in so close is the fact that Torrey Hunter bunted 9 times for base hits last year. And opponents know he will do that. And he took the first pitch fastball and hit an absolute seed right past Chisenhall. Torrey Hunter really hasn't gone to left field all that often this year. For the most part, he has gotten the majority of his hits into right field.
He scalded that one, and that is the 3rd hit of the series for Torrey. Tigers have their first base runner. Here's Miguel Cabrera. And Cabrera swings on the first pitch and bangs it to left. That's a base hit. Well, the Tigers now have runners at first and second.
There's a lot of guys using pink bats today, but not Miguel Cabrera. That bat that he's using, and we talked about it last night, it's got some mileage on it. He's not going to switch bats here today. He loves his mom, but he's not going to switch bats.
Well, it not only has mileage, but it's got a lot of hits in it.
Look at that bat. He got some pink on, though. Boy, is his swing pretty. And it's really not often you would equate a pretty swing with a guy that's 6'5", 250. But from the right side, he's got a pretty swing.
That'll extend the Cabrera hitting streak to 11 straight. Now with a chance here, it's Prince Fielder. In there, strike one.
How about the drama that unfolded here last night for the final out of the evening? I don't think there's one person in this ballpark last night or watching on TV that didn't think Miguel Cabrera was going to come through with at least a base hit to tie the score.
Well, Torrey Hunter set it up with an RBI single with 2 outs in the 9th. That made it 7-6 to bring up Cabrera. There's a shot into right field. Rayburn makes a nice sliding play out there.
Good base running by Torrey Hunter. Nice play by Rayburn in right field, but really good base running.
2 gone.
And Ryan Rayburn has played mostly left field and some second base in his career. Not a whole lot of right field. Makes a catch off the turf, but the base running play by Hunter, very nice not to get doubled up on that play. A lot of base runners would have thought that was going to drop and would have gotten doubled up. This is what you do. You take a few steps and you recognize it might be a play and you get back.
Two away. That'll bring up Victor Martinez. In for strike one. Victor has 15 RBIs, 2 hits in the series. He has scored a couple of runs. Tigers trying to jump out early for Rick Porcello, give him a little bit of a cushion here early on. They have 2 men on. That's a strike call. Now it's 0-2 on Martinez. He's faced McAllister a couple of times, 2 for 2 against Zach McAllister, the native of Chillicothe, Illinois.
Victor usually doesn't wear glasses. Got something on today.
Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss, and McAllister got him on 3 pitches. It's his second strikeout of the game. Tigers threaten but leave a pair, and we go to the second.
Say happy Mother's Day to my mom, Kathy. I love you. And to all the other moms out there, happy Mother's Day as well.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and to everyone else. I hope you have a great day, and let's go Tigers.
And on this Mother's Day, all around Major League Baseball, we're going to bat against breast cancer. We welcome all our moms tuning in. This afternoon, Tigers and the Cleveland Indians from Comerica Park. We are scoreless after 1. And Porcello back to the hill, and he will face Swisher, Santana, and Ryan Rayburn. Rick had a 1-2-3 first inning. That's it for a strike on Nick Swisher, who has really been good in this series for them. 4 for 7, couple of doubles, a triple. Very nearly hit for the cycle in game 1 in the series. .277 batting average for Swisher. Big rip there, fouled it straight back, 0-2.
The Cleveland Indians were not Nick Swisher's first choice in the offseason, but they offered him a 4-year deal. They gave him pretty good money, but his wife is an actress, and he wanted to either be in New York or out in Los Angeles. And so obviously she could pursue her career.
Here's the 0-2. A little bit outside, 1-2. Well, they signed him to a 4-year deal, so in the end, it worked out pretty well for Swisher.
Well, they pretty much had to give him that 4-year deal for him to agree to go to Cleveland.
Originally drafted by the Athletics, played with Chicago briefly. Yankees the last 4 years. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Nick. .375 career against Porcello. Santana waiting on deck. In the air toward left field. And running it down, Andy Dirks. 1 out. Hey, by the way, you can vote for your Tigers McDonald's Player of the Game, presented by the new Ed White Delight McMuffin. Using your cell phone, text Tigers followed by a space, then the player's uniform number to 37338, or if you'd like, vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com. Here is Santana. Talked about him at the top of the show today. .350 batting average with 7 home runs. And that's driven in the air to left. Another opportunity for Dirks. Quick out there, 2 away.
Outstanding pitch there by Porcello, knowing at how aggressive Santana is on first pitch fastballs. He pulled the string at 83, and this is what the changeup is designed to do. Disrupt the timing. He had him on that front leg. He was fooled. Not a good swing. The result, lazy fly ball to left field.
Here's Ryan Rayburn with 2 outs. The former Tiger returns to Comerica Park. Rayburn, signed by the Indians, had a good spring and made the club. And as it turns out, with the injury to Michael Bourne, he did a tremendous job filling in for Bourne.
Hitting .329. 4 homers. All 4 of those homers came in a span of 2 days.
Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss by Rayburn, 0-2. Rayburn had, as we mentioned, a really good spring. .341 with 5 home runs this spring in making the club. Rick has him set up 0-2. And a ball high. He would not chase. 1-2 on Rayburn. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Rayburn had a stretch that all players would just dream of having. Back in late April, he went on a run of 11 for 13, which is really unheard of. 4 home runs in that span as well. He lays off again, and the count fills at 3-2. There's that stretch we were talking about. And the 3-2 pitch. Bouncing ball slowly towards short. Peralta charging. Rayburn is out by half a step. Inning is over. Another 1-2-3 for Rick Porcello. 6 up, 6 down for the Tigers right-hander. Here at Comerica Park, and Don Kelly starts it off for the Tigers, facing Zach McAllister. It'll be Kelly, Peralta, Peña. Tigers got a couple of base runners in the first, singles by Hunter and Cabrera, but could not score. Don batting 179 this season. And McAllister quickly gets ahead 0-2. Kelly trying to break an 0 for 10 stretch. The start in center today, Austin Jackson gets the day off. And he just missed with it. 1-2. Last night Jackson was standing at second base. Third base coach Tom Brookins had to go out to see if he was all right. That was late in the game. He would stay in the contest. You could tell the hamstring just wasn't 100%. It's the right hamstring.
I think it may have tightened up on him on that play we showed you a little earlier that Kipnis made when he flipped it behind the back to the shortstop, Cabrera. Jackson hit that ball, had to hustle getting down the line to prevent them from turning a double play real late in that contest.
Now Kelly has run the count full, 3-2. It is a cooler afternoon here, so really no reason to take a chance with Jackson. That's hit to the right side, base hit. Kelly was down 0-2 in the count, worked it full and has himself a single. Third Tigers hit in this game.
Nice patient at bat by Don Kelly. In a short swing, that ball was down. Not a bad pitch by McAllister, but Kelly able to go down and get it. And breaks that string of 0 for 10.
Meanwhile, here is Johnny Peralta, who has hit safely in 10 consecutive games. He's got his average up to 325. Top hitting shortstop in the American League. Strike one from McAllister. And in that stretch, nearly 400 during the hitting streak.
That homer came in last night's game.
Here's the 0-1. Driven foul, 0-2 on Peralta.
And for a while, that was all the offense the Tigers could muster in last night's game until that big triple by Omar Infante later on in the game.
Once they took Jimenez out of the game, the Tigers were easily able to get to the Indians bullpen.
And it's a really good bullpen. It's one of their strengths.
Yeah, they struggled to throw strikes in last night's game and nearly paid for it. He fought that one off foul.
And here's that homer that Peralta hit last night. He got something up in the zone, and the wind was blowing out at a pretty crisp pace. And once it got up in that jet stream, it carried into the Indians bullpen.
Third home run of the season for Peralta. McAllister's throw takes Santana off the bag. Jimenez was outstanding in last night's ball game. Certainly the best we have seen him in a Cleveland uniform. Pulls that one to third base. Broke his bat in the process. There's one. Relay not in time. Fielder's choice. And Peralta's aboard.
Good pitch there by McAllister. It was down, and he had Johnny fooled, and Johnny still too much speed for them to turn it over.
A dreaded cracking sound of the bat where hitters know that, well, that's the last swing I'll take with that piece of wood.
And that bat's been pretty good to Peralta. And when guys have the kind of hitting streaks that he has had lately, you have a bat you've been using every single day. That bat was good to him.
Brian Peña looks at strike one. Meanwhile, McAllister now has gone 8 for 8 in first pitch strikes. Good pickup behind the plate by Yan Gomes. 1-1 the count. McAllister is what you would term as a biggin. He goes 6'6", 240 out of Chillicothe, Illinois. Grew up around the game. His dad was a scout, still is. Popped up back out of play. 1-2. And in doing so, McAllister said that he learned a lot about the game just hanging out with fellow scouts that would scout with his dad and talking baseball, learning about the professional game, what the lifestyle was like. There's the 1-2. Missed it outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I know Alex Avila's often talked about the advantage that can be when you grow up around the game and see what the professional game is like. Not to mention, a lot of times you'll get instruction from players and coaches. And Alex said that was really a big part of his development.
3 generations of Avilas. Ralph Avila, his grandfather.
High drive hit into right field and hit well. Rayburn going back to the track, to the wall. He looks up and it is gone. It's a home run for Brian Peña.
Big fly.
And look at him circle the bases. He sprints around the bags.
It is so nice when on a nightly basis you know you're going to get a lot of production from Prince Fielder, Austin Jackson, Torrey Hunter, and Miguel Cabrera. It's really nice and a luxury to have a guy to come off the bench like a Tuiasa Sopo and a Brian Peña that have pop in their bat. Tigers did not have this last year.
Second home run of the season for Peña. And Infante takes a strike.
No such as a home run trot for Peña.
He's off to the races.
It's almost like once the ball left the building, he sped up.
That's in the shallow center field and caught there by Stubbs. Infante retired, 2 gone. And we'll bring up Andy Dirks. So we've talked over and over about how Tigers have gotten some pretty good production out of that bench. You mentioned Tuiasa Sopo and Peña. And really a lot of the other ancillary parts, so to speak, that are not named Cabrera and Fielder have done a great job.
To finish that thought on Avila, I was commenting on his grandfather, Ralph Avila, who was a longtime scout and in the Scouting Hall of Fame, who scouted with the Dodgers. And of course, his dad works here with the Tigers.
Meanwhile, a ground out 4-3 retires Dirks. Tigers score first. 2-run shot for Brian Peña off McAllister. Tigers out to a quick lead. And you're watching Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire. And the home run by Peña just barely made it out. Look at this.
Talk about scraping the back of the wall.
Literally. Looks like they're playing skee ball there. So the Tigers have the lead. It is 2-0. They have 4 hits already in this game. Porcello has gotten 6 in a row to start this contest. Chisenhall leads it off. Then Gomes and then Stubbs. 1 ball, 1 strike on Lonnie Chisenhall. 0 for 6 so far in the series. Here's the 1-1 from Porcello. Rolled foul. Well, Rick has typically struggled in the month of April, but once May rolls around, he's been pretty good. 12-6 career in the month of May. And an ERA a little bit over 3, so he's been able to straighten himself out, and hopefully that'll be the case again this year. Ball high.
It appears that the lengthy layoff for Porcello, his last start coming on May 2nd, hasn't cost him that good sinker ball. Of the 6 outs he's recorded, 4 have been on the ground.
It's a good sign. That one's popped up foul. To the seats it goes. 2-2 the count.
Nice crowd here today on Mother's Day.
And fortunately, the sun is out now, which is going to help keep it a little bit warmer. Those clouds are still in the area. Here's the 2-2. Another foul back out of play. Chisenhall, Gomes, and Stubbs. 7, 8, 9 in the Cleveland lineup. Another foul. Chisenhall, much like Ryan Rayburn, had a really good spring to make the club. It's the first time he's on a major league club on an opening day this year with Cleveland. He hit 400 this spring, and he was coming off a really frustrating 2012. He missed a couple of months with a broken arm. And finally, Porcello was able to dispatch Chisenhall. 1 gone. Let's go back to the studio now for a game break. Here's Shannon Hogan. And here at the ballpark, it's 2-0 Detroit as we play in the third. Tigers trying to win this series here against Cleveland. Yan Gomes. Strike 1. Former Toronto Blue Jay came over in a deal with the Jays. Hit .216 this year so far. A couple of homers. Gomes behind the plate today. Santana is out at first base. Ball high, 1-1. Gomes is a native of Sao Paulo, Brazil. In fact, he is the first Brazilian-born player to make it to the major leagues.
The game is really going quite global these days.
Although he did grow up, they moved to Miami when Jan was 12. 6'2", 215. Out of Sao Paulo.
You ever been to Brazil?
I have never been to Brazil. Here it's fabulous, though. Have you?
No, I have not.
The 1-2. Missed it inside. 2-2.
I need to start doing a little bit more of that, traveling abroad. Italy, Brazil.
It is worthwhile. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Get me a bucket list.
You don't. It's not something you go out and buy. It's something you kind of formulate.
You don't go buy?
You can't go get a bucket list. You form a bucket list. It's a base hit for Yan Gomes.
I hear people talking about that all the time these days.
Porcello has thrown 45. You see that 20 in the first inning. That was basically because he took 10 pitches to get Jason Kipnis out. Here's Drew Stubbs. 257 batter. Stubbs back in the lineup. He did not play yesterday. And Porcello deals a strike with a fastball.
Yeah, they got him from the Cincinnati Reds. Stubbs can really run. A good defender in center field with outstanding speed. And 30 bases stolen last year for Drew.
One time through the lineup now, Porcello has gone 8 of 9 on first pitch strikes. In fact, really both of these starters have done a great job in that respect. 0-2 on Stubbs, 0 for 3 in the opener. Got him, strike 3. Stubbs caught looking, did not like the call by Bill Miller, but it doesn't matter. 2 gone.
Yeah, well located fastball at 92 by Porcello. And this one's a little up in the zone, but the location is good.
Two outs. Michael Brantley will stand in. Tigers take the lead on the home run by Brian Peña in the second. Here's a drive to right. That's a base hit. Gomes rounding the bag. He'll go to third. Here comes a throw, and it's high, and Cabrera had trouble seeing that ball as the right fielder Hunter slipped when he threw it.
And it appeared that ball may have gotten in the lights for Miggy. If Torrey could do it all over again, he probably wouldn't even throw that ball to third base because of the fact that he missed the cutoff man here. And we know Torrey is an outstanding defender. 9 gold gloves, but he airmails the cutoff man as he slips. And that allows Brantley to get into scoring position.
Here's Cabrera struggling with it. Boy, he was fortunate there. So that's going to put runners at second and third. We'll see how critical that turns out to be with Brantley taking second base. Strike called. Jason Kipnis.
Torrey loves to throw from that right field position. He had 14 assists last year when he was with the Angels.
Torrey a little upset with himself for letting that one fly. The 0-1. That's a fair ball down the third base line. That's going to get 2 runs in. The Indians will tie it up with another 2-out hit. They had a boatload of those last night.
Kipnis has had a really short stroke in this series, and really that homestand they had where they won 8 of 9 games. Kipnis, his bat really started to perk up. He had 3 homers and he drove in 10, and really once they got here to Comerica Park, he's continued to do well.
Just inside the third base line. It wasn't pretty, but it's 2 RBIs. And a 2-2 game. Way inside to Asdrubal Cabrera. It's 16 RBIs now for Kipnis and his 6th double of this campaign.
And the majority of the runs that were scored last night by the Cleveland offense came after 2 were out. And that's exactly what they've done here again today.
The 1-0. That's in the air toward right field. Hunter is under this one, and that is that. But Cleveland is able to tie it up with another 2-out hit. a big part of the community since 1849. Ram trucks engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram. And by Country Fresh, share a pure moment. Back here in downtown Detroit on Mother's Day. Here in the Motor City, the Tigers Indians squaring off in the series finale. Zach McAllister goes back to the hill, and he is facing Torrey Hunter to start things off. That is the first time that McAllister has not thrown a first pitch strike. He was 10 for 10 up until that point. That one's in there, 1-1. Hunter had a single back in the first. Tigers look like they might score in that first inning. They strung together hits by Hunter and Cabrera, but McAllister got the final 2 outs. Acquired from the Yankees in a deal that involved Austin Kearns back in 2010. Ball high.
And Santana over at first base playing about 15 feet off that first baseline because Torrey Hunter so many times this year has hit a ball right where Santana is standing.
Pulled that one foul, 3-2. That's where the scouting reports come in. Try and play the percentages. Cut that hole in the right side of the infield in half. There's Cabrera waiting on deck.
And so few right-handed batters hit the ball directly down that first base line.
Swing and a miss. Hunter chases up, and one gone. Time now for the Farmers Insurance Report Card. All Cabrera infielders since 2012 with their major league ranks. Here are some of the big categories: average homers, RBIs.
None better. Batting average at 325, that's first. Home runs 90, that's first. And how about the distance between the RBIs that these two have and Braun and Ramirez in Milwaukee?
Those numbers among 3-4 hitters.
He's a machine.
And the 3-hitter, Cabrera, now has his second hit.
Terry Francona, who was managing the Boston Red Sox, he had Big Papi, David Ortiz, and also Manny Ramirez. And he said yesterday that these two are comparable to the two that he had. They don't give away at bats. They play every single day. They'll take their walks. They hit for average, and they do major damage in the power department.
And like that duo in Boston, one was right-handed, one was left-handed, as they are here, Cabrera and Fielder. Two for two for Miguel, who has an 11-game hitting streak.
Max Scherzer is so pleased with what he has had a chance to watch the last couple of years since Prince put on a uniform. He said this might be the best 3-4 combination ever.
Cabrera chatting with what's going on here. Time is being called by C.B. Buckner. Cabrera and Buckner having a little chat. What could this be about?
Well, Miggy doesn't appear to be very happy with what's going on.
So McAllister now steps off. And Fielder's going to step out. Two 2-0 on Fielder. 3-0. Not sure what that exchange was about, but Cabrera looks none too happy. He's saying Santana's getting in his way.
If I was Santana, I wouldn't.
And there's ball 4. Prince has been the best in the American League in drawing walks. He has another. 2 on, 1 out. Let's see if we caught something with our cameras. Well, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary there, did you?
Well, he had his hand on Santana. I don't know if C.B. Buckner told him you can't put your hand on him or not, but Cabrera did have his hand on Santana when that pitch was being delivered toward home plate.
That could be.
Other than that, I really don't know.
So here is Victor Martinez. Victor struck out on 3 pitches back in the first. Batting .219. Two-two game. Tigers got the home run by Brian Peña in the second, and Kipnis drove in a couple of runs with a double in the third. Here's the 0-1. Outside, 1-1.
And by the way, that walk to Prince Fielder looked like it was by design by McAllister. When you go up against guys like Miguel and also Prince, you want to limit the damage. If you can take the bat out of their hand, that's exactly what you'll do with the numbers that these two are putting up this year, and take your chances with the next 2 guys.
2-1. Victor 2 out of 8 in the series. Took a rip at a pitch up, and the count evens now. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Tigers are going to have to lay off that elevated fastball that McAllister continues to throw up in the zone. And the velocity is only about 89 to 90 miles an hour, and it looks good. But that's a very difficult ball to get to and get on top of and hit with any authority whatsoever.
McAllister was able to pitch through a jam in the first by striking out Martinez. Now he's got to deal with him again with 2 men on. And he missed inside, 3-2.
And Jim has to make a decision here whether he has enough trust in Martinez to put the ball in play, to allow Miguel and Fielder to vacate their bases and start on the pitch from McAllister.
Let's see. There they go. Grounded foul. Cabrera had a huge jump off second base.
Which is why if Victor does swing and miss, they won't try to get Miggy out at third. They'll throw behind the runner down towards second.
Single by Cabrera, walk to Fielder. Only 1 out, 2-2 game. We're in the third here at Comerica. McAllister made 22 starts last year, was 6-8 in the big leagues. He was recalled after putting up some nice numbers at AAA. 5-2, a sub-3 ERA. Runners go again, and it's fouled off again, back out of play.
Managers always worry when you do start that runner from second base, and you've got a really good hitter in the batter's box, like a Victor Martinez. Does it disrupt his attention? Seeing that white uniform taking off toward third base, and also picking up the baseball.
They've been on the move in the last 2, and you'll assume they'll be on the move again here. There they go. That is hit high in the air. Shallow center field for Drew Stubbs. And Martinez is out, and the runners will hold. 2 gone. He's going to bring up Don Kelly. Kelly had a single back in the second. Average of 200 now for Don. 2 runs, 5 hits for Detroit. The Indians 2 runs on 3 hits. Neither team has an error today. And Kelly takes strike one.
That last pitch is a split-fingered fastball that McAllister has been throwing, and he really telegraphs this pitch. I mean, he really slows his arm speed down. As a hitter, you can really pick that up. We'll show you one more time in real time, because the fastball arm speed is so quick, and then you have a guy that throws you that particular pitch he's still learning. Hitters can see that. Here you go. I mean, they've really slowed it down there.
Now the 1-1. Well, they felt that McAllister in spring training, and it was Mickey Callaway, their pitching coach, felt that he might be a good candidate to learn that split finger pitch because of his arm slot and the fact that he had long fingers. And so they decided to teach him that pitch and see if it could become a pretty good weapon. Still in the learning process, though. And there are several different grips that they taught him, but he really pitched well in his last start against the Atlanta Braves. And really, by and large, the numbers have been pretty good for McAllister this year.
Another reason why that pitch is an advantage to him is the fact that he throws lots of high fastballs. And so it gives the hitters a different look. You go up with the fastball, then you change the eye level with the splitter down in the zone.
Slapped out of play again. 2-2 on Don Kelly. Tigers have Peralta waiting on deck. They are threatening here with a single and a walk. And McAllister has been pitching in traffic all afternoon long. The Tigers have had a ton of base runners already. Outside, fill it now at 3-2. .25 already thrown in this inning. That means the pitch count is up to 55. Runners go on 3-2 and a chop back up the middle. Cabrera with a running scoop. Kelly is out. And the threat is over. No runs, a hit, a walk, 2 men left.
Back in the second inning, Don Kelly had a single to lead off the inning, and then Brian Peña, the backup catcher, 2-run shot. So one big fly there for the Tigers. Then in the top half of the third inning, they got right on the board themselves. That would be the Indians. Needed 3 hits. The final hit by Jason Kipnis, a double down the third baseline to drive in 2.
So as we head to the 4th inning, it is a 2-2 game. Swisher, Santana, Rayburn facing the right-handed offerings of Rick Porcello.
So far, so good for Porcello. A total of 53 pitches, 37 strikes, only 16 balls. For the most part, he has kept the ball on the ground and kept the Indians off balance.
Ball outside to Nick Swisher. Flight out to left field his first time up, batting .274 now. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swisher looks at a strike on the outer edge.
Porcello was talking before the game. Well, actually, Ryan Field did an interview with him a couple of days ago and was asking him about some of the challenges that he faces when you get 10 days off in between starts.
Fly ball left center field. On the move is Don Kelly, and he will run it down.
And Rick simply told Ryan it's all about concentration. You just have to be prepared mentally when you go out there to trust your stuff. You watch a little video on the opposing team so you have an idea of how you want to attack them, but really you have to stay within yourself.
Here is Santana now with one out, and the shift will be employed here as Santana steps in. Only defender to the left of second base is Cabrera. Santana flied out to left field his first time up. And floats in for a strike.
He tried to bunt for a hit last night because of this defense right here employed on him. Carlos Peña also will bunt in situations like this. We'll see Carlos tomorrow.
Hey, right on cue, but he let it go by. 1-1.
And judging by that spray chart, although he is a switch hitter, you would know the heavy dosage of ground balls to the right side with him hitting this way. But I'm sure Jim them have some data down there that tells them what he does hitting left-handed.
2-1. The data has to be very convincing to employ a defense like this.
Yeah, Jim doesn't do this as much as some of the other managers in the majors.
Outside 3-1. What do we got on Rick Porcello here? 60, 40 of which have been strikes. Here's the 3-1. Full count, 3-2.
The Indians are one of those organizations that rely heavily on statistical data themselves. They have a lot of Ivy Leaguers in their front office.
Got him, strike three. Santana caught looking. Three strikeouts for Porcello.
And Porcello really has learned how to throw the fastball to both sides of the plate. He'll work outside with that sinker. Then he'll start that sinker as well at the left knee of the left-handed batter. And then the movement on the pitch catches the inside corner to get strike three as he just got there.
Here's Ryan Rayburn. He'll get back out of play and foul. Rayburn bounced out his first time. Maybe one of the reasons the Indians were interested in Rayburn is the fact that he was a career .298 hitter at Progressive Field. Nearly .300 in the Cleveland ballpark. And they hit him. Porcello drills Rayburn on the back. Two-out base runner.
Another reason why Rayburn is wearing that Cleveland Indians uniform is I'm 100% certain as we take a look at him getting drilled right between the numbers in the back. That Jim Leyland called Terry Francona and told him that Rayburn could probably help your club. That's the kind of respect that Jim and Terry have for one another. And we all know how Jim feels about Ryan Rayburn.
Rayburn, of course, was given the opportunity to win the second base position last year and really couldn't seize command of that position. Struggled all season long. But in stretches, he can be as good as anybody, and he has proved that again this year with that huge stretch he had toward the end of April. It's maintaining stretches like that that have been an issue. Chisenhall, the batter. Struck out in the third. He'll get back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's the first batter that Rick Porcello has hit this year. Doug Fister, on the other hand,
10?
He's hit 10. Tigers have hit 14. Doug's hit 10 of them.
It's almost been an epidemic with Pfister this year. Rayburn dives back in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chisenhall now 0 for 7 in the series. Tigers had a brief 2-0 lead until Kipnis doubled in a couple of runs, tying it up in the 3rd. Strike call. 1-2. Chisenhall played community college baseball at Pitt Community College in North Carolina. High draft choice out of Pitt. One and 2. Off the end of the bat, Porcello will barehand it and throw him out. Nothing comes of a 2-out hit batter. 3.5 in the books. Still tied at 2. By Arby's. Try Arby's new King's Hawaiian roast beef sandwich. Arby's, slicing up freshness. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Back here in downtown Detroit, happy Mother's Day to all of our baseball moms out there tuning in, wherever you may be. It's a good one so far here. 2-2 is our score, and the Tigers in the bottom of the 4th have Johnny Peralta leading it off against Zach McAllister. Peralta, Peña, and Infante in the Tigers' 4th inning. First pitch in for a strike, and that's something that McAllister has been awfully good at so far in this game. Johnny hit into a force, but then scored a run on the Peña homer. Ground ball, 3rd base. Scooped up there by Chisenhall. Oh, he threw it away. It'll get by Santana and go up against the tarp. And Peralta goes to 2nd. As routine as they come, but he threw it away.
Santana, not a first baseman by trade, couldn't help out Chisenhall, although it appeared to be a ball that not all that difficult to help out your 3rd baseman. He knew as soon as he let that one go, it was going to be trouble.
Coming into the first game in this series, the Indians had a streak of 45 consecutive errorless innings, I should say.
Yeah, they haven't played very well in this series.
Peña fouls it away. Well, they broke that string in game 1. A Throw away here by Chisenhall.
Nick Swisher made a crucial error in last night's game, which almost led to Indians' loss.
Peña hit a 2-run homer in the second. Ball outside, 1-1.
Well, Peña's got a job to do here. There's nobody out, and he needs to try to get something inside so he can hit it toward first base or second base. And if he's fortunate, he'll hit one through the hole, but he's got to at least get Johnny Peralta over to third base.
Right back up the middle, and it hit the bag. It rolls to Kipnis, but he has no play. Everybody is safe. Base hit for Peña. And a wacky play.
And McAllister, after he delivers the ball toward home plate, he really doesn't get himself in a good position to field a ball that's hit back at him. And as a result of that, this one gets by him as he tries to kick it, hits the bag, and by the time Kipnis picks it up, Santana had come off the bag, and Kipnis had no play at first base.
So the Tigers have runners at first and third. Here's Omar Infante. Ball one outside to Omar. Flied out to center field in his first at bat. 322 right now for Infante. Came into this ball game today 10th in the American League in hitting, so he had actually cracked the top 10 in the AL.
And a lot of his damage has been done right here at Comerica Park.
Pulled foul. 1-1. Tigers have 2 runs, 6 hits. They've left 4. Indians have 2 runs, 3 hits. They've left 2.
Yeah, these are the runs that you have to score in the big leagues. When you have that runner on third base, less than 2 outs, you have to score these runs.
And it looks like they will. That is to right field. Rayburn sizing it up. Runner will tag. Rayburn's throw coming home is going to be off target. Sac fly RBI for Infante.
Here's today's high-speed stat brought to you by Charter Internet. And Omar Infante, 18 RBIs already this season in that number 9 spot last year, 33 all season. And that's not just Omar. That is 14 for Omar, and Tuiasa Sopo has 3, and Doug Fister drove in 1.
Tuiasa Sopo had that big home run against the Nationals. Here's Andy Dirks. Tigers have the lead 3-2. Infante gets his 14th RBI. Swing and a miss.
That is a major upgrade. Only 33 RBIs all season last year out of the number 9 slot. Already 18 out of that slot.
Andy, a strikeout and a ground out. Well, the scoring coming out of the bottom part of the Tigers lineup today. Runner goes. With his grounded foul.
Hit and run there. And putting Peña on the move.
Peña 2-run homer out of the 8th spot, and Infante the sac fly out of the 9th spot.
It's one of the things that you admire about the way that Jim manages a game. That was an 0-1 count, but yet he still put the hit and run on. Most managers do not put the hit and run on when the hitter is behind in the count. It's usually a count like 1-0 or 2-1.
Back out of play. Oh, 2 on Dirks. Andy 2 for 9 in the series. McAllister this year 3-1 at home, but 0-2 on the road. Home ERA has been much better. Inside 1-2.
And McAllister has not had one start this year where he has given up more than 3 runs. That in jeopardy here today. He's already given up 3.
That is limit. Here's the 1-2. 2-2 on Dirks. Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. Sunshine has made another appearance. The last 5 on Dirks, 389 in that stretch, couple of homers. Dirks, in fact, homered in game 1 in this series off Hill. That was the 7th inning of the first game. Numbers on McAllister now. He's thrown 70. Now the 2-2. High, 3-2.
Yeah, another opportunity here for Jim to start the base runner in the 3-2 count. And 1 out.
Here's ball 4. They had Peña on the move, but a walk to Dirks. McAllister walked a man in the 3rd. Now another one here in the 4th. It'll bring up Torrey Hunter. Mixed bag today for Torrey. Singled in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd.
And coming into this game, McAllister had only walked 10 all year. And 5 of the 10 came in just 1 start.
Well, let's see if he pays for the base on balls here in the 4th inning. Ball high, 1-0. I mentioned McAllister pitched extremely well in his last start. He went 7 2/3 against Oakland, did not allow a run, and walked only 1 in that game. Checked it. Appeal did not go. 2-0. Pretty close. Torrey held up. Popped him up.
Torrey having a difficult time of laying off that high fastball that McAllister is throwing today. He's not the only one, but McAllister's thrown him quite a few up there. McAllister's top fastball has been 90 miles an hour, but the percentage of fastballs that he's thrown here today at 81%, only 19% off speed pitches.
Back up the middle into center. Another hit for Torrey Hunter. Peña will stop at 3rd, and the bases are loaded.
And the reason why 81% fastballs for McAllister, he doesn't have confidence in his breaking balls. Therefore, if you're Hunter in the 2-1 count, you knew you were going to get a fastball here. And what he made McAllister do is he made him get it down. Now, this one right around the belt buckle, and that's a good spot to hit. Right down the middle. Much better swing there by Torrey Hunter.
So not only do the Tigers have a run here, but they have the bases loaded now. Peña watched it through and then stopped at 3rd. Time now for the AT&T trivia question here this afternoon. Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder are both on pace for 150 or more RBIs. Can you name the last teammates to accomplish this in the same season? Last teammates with 150 or more RBIs each. Fielder, Cabrera on that pace this year.
Hasn't happened in our lifetime.
It's a breakneck pace, that's for sure, and it's very difficult to keep up throughout the course of the summer. Here is Cabrera with the bases loaded. Way inside, 1-0 with a breaking ball.
Yeah, since the beginning of the 2011 season, Miguel Cabrera leads the majors with a .390 batting average. Since the beginning of the 2011 season with runners in scoring position, .390.
The 1-0 popped up. Right side of the infield. Who wants it? Kipnis does. Infield fly rule. Batter automatically out. 2 gone. Well, that's a huge out there for McAllister, but he's not out of the woods yet. Here's Prince Fielder.
At these situations with the bases loaded, Prince really likes to be aggressive on first pitch fastballs.
Fielder had a walk in the 3rd, which gives him 27 base on balls to lead the American League. Big swing there for Prince.
Good pitch there by McAllister, knowing that Prince is aggressive on fastballs. Threw him a breaking ball at 79, and Prince swung right over the top of it.
Fielder clocked one in game 1 in this series, a long home run to right center field. He's got the bases full here. Ball high, 1 ball, 1 strike.
The one thing about going up against a really good hitter like Prince, if you start him off with that really good breaking ball, then you have to try to figure out another pitch to get him out with. And you've already shown him your best pitch. More than likely, he's not going to swing through it again.
2-1. McAllister trying to navigate through Cabrera and Fielder with the bases loaded. He's given up a run. Of course, the error by Chisenhall opened up the inning. We would love to give Porcello a little bit more breathing room. The 2-1 offering. 2-2. Fielder has knocked in 33. Cabrera has knocked in 40. The top 2 RBI men in the Tigers lineup. McAllister just got Cabrera to pop up with the bases loaded. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Prince left the strike zone, and McAllister a whale of a job to come back in that inning. Tigers settled for 1 run. They will leave the bases loaded. And as we go to the 5th inning, 3-2 Detroit. Report on the Indians' run production. Get the Bernstein advantage. We go to bat for you. Last season, The Indians scored 667 runs. This year they're on pace for 829, which would have made them #1 last year. So their numbers, at least in terms of what they're on pace for, is they're way up.
Let's take a look at the pitch by pitch here at how McAllister went after Prince Fielder. First pitch, breaking ball, another breaking ball, shows him a fastball up, comes back with a breaking ball. Prince was looking for it, but he missed it. But then he finished him off with a fastball up in the zone, and that's a pitch that McAllister has thrown quite often today, that elevated fastball at just 90 miles an hour.
Tigers left some ducks on the pond. They left him loaded. They have left 7 men on base already in this game. There's the ball hit to right field and hit well. That ball is going to get down and go up against the wall. Yan Gomes has extra bases and a leadoff double here in the 5th. He's 2 for 2. It'll bring up Drew Stubbs. So the Tigers take the lead. And again, the Indians trying to come right back.
That's what they have done all series, really.
Stubbs had a punch out back in the 3rd.
If you're wondering about it, maybe a sacrifice bunt here from Drew Stubbs. He does not have one yet this year.
Swing and a miss. Stubbs back in April hit just 241. In May he came in at 294. The 0-1. Tried to check it, went around.
Good pitch there by Porcello. A two-seam fastball in on the hands of Stubbs, knowing that Stubbs is trying to hit a ground ball to the right side of the infield. He can't do it on that pitch. Boy, does that have a lot of late life, a lot of movement on that two-seamer thrown by Rick.
1-2. Stubbs came over from the Reds. He was a finalist for a Gold Glove last year over in the National League. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tigers homered on the Peña 2-run shot in the 2nd, but the Indians came right back to tie it in the 3rd. Detroit goes ahead in the 4th, and the Indians have a leadoff double here in the 5th. Swing and a miss, and Stubbs is out on strikes for the 2nd time in this game. 4 strikeouts now for Porcello. Porcello's strikeout high is 7. That was in his last start against the Astros in Houston. Here's Michael Brantley. Tigers pitching this year just continues to pile up the strikeouts. 19 separate times this year they've had 10 or more as a staff in a single game. They've been coming in bunches. Verlander, Scherzer, a good reason why.
And speaking of that number 10, they lead the majors with nearly 10 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Meanwhile, 2-0 on Brantley. Verlander has the pink gloves today as well. Ball low, 3-0.
We had Verlander on the television screen earlier saying Happy Mother's Day to his mom, Kathy.
And apparently a thumbs up as well. Here's the strike called. 3-1 on Brantley. Had a base hit back in the 3rd. Brantley now 3 hits in the series. Last season, Brantley at one point had a 22-game hitting streak. And now Porcello wants Peña out to the mound. Tigers 3 runs, 7 hits here this afternoon. However, they have left 7 men on base.
Kipnis got to get a new uni.
Ooh. Or at least have that one repaired. Walked him. 2 on, 1 out. First walk of the game for Porcello to go with 1 hit batter. He hit Rayburn back in the 4th. Here is Jason Kipnis. Ball outside to Kipnis. It was his 2-run double to the opposite field back in the 3rd that tied the game up at that point, 2-2. Now the 1-0. 2-0 on Kipnis. This inning started with a double by Gomes, a 1-out walk to Brantley. And Jeff Jones going to come out now and have a chat with Porcello. You spotted anything on Porcello here that may have contributed to this bout of wildness?
No, I thought maybe he pitched around Brantley a little bit to maybe get himself in a situation where he can get a double play ball. And Brantley's number is pretty good in his career against Rich, so I don't think there's any issues.
Well, by the way, you can celebrate the 45th anniversary of the 1968 championship on Saturday, May 25th, prior to the 7:08 game against the Minnesota Twins. The first 10,000 fans receive a 1968 World Series 45th anniversary commemorative coin. Call 866-66-TIGER, Tigers.com. There's a strike right at the knees on Kipnis. 2 balls and 1 strike. Low. 3-1. Meanwhile, on deck is Asdrubal Cabrera. Kip is sitting in a really good hitting count right here, with 2 men on, 1 out, in a 1-run game. And he hits it in the air foul down the left field line. 3-2.
Really, walks have not been Rick's issue this year. He didn't walk 1 batter in spring training. And then once the season began, he gave up some hits, but the control was still there. Didn't walk a batter his last start in Houston. He's walked 1 here today. Jeopardy of walking another.
And he does. Ball 4. That will load the bases for the Indians. With only 1 out, back-to-back walks, Brantley and Kipnis. And now he's going to have to deal with the middle of the lineup coming up. Number 3 hitter, Asdrubal Cabrera, stands in. Cabrera is 0 for 2 in his career with the bases loaded. He's over 300. But if Porcello gets him a ground ball here, perhaps a double play, and he can head back to the dugout.
He's had a good 2-seamer. He needs to make sure he gets one down at the bottom of the zone.
He got Cabrera to ground out in the 1st inning, flied out in the 3rd. .234 average now for Asdrubal Cabrera, 2-time All-Star for the Cleveland Indians. And there's some action now in the Detroit bullpen. It's Jose Ortega. No, that one missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gomes, Brantley, and Kipnis, the base runners. Way inside. 2-1. On one hop to the second baseman, Infante fires to second. One, and there's your double play. He hit it hard, but Omar turns the 4-6-3. Just in the nick of time for Rick Porcello. Indians load the bases.
Infante. Ball took a little bit of a tricky hop, but he was able to give Peralta a really nice feed, and Peralta took very little time getting the ball on its way to first base to complete the double play. And here's that feed I'm talking about. Tricky hop, but look at the feed by Infante. One of the advantages he and Peralta have now. They've played about 4 or 5 months together. That's bad. Perfect.
Victor Martinez leading it off here in the bottom of the 5th. It is 3-2 in favor of the Tigers. Big scoring opportunity for the Indians. They can't cash in, though.
And Tigers have squandered a few chances themselves.
Martinez, Kelly, and Peralta here in the 5th against Zach McAllister. Had a total of 11 men stranded in this game between the two teams. Victor, fly out, strikeout. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Tied him up and struck him out. It's 5 strikeouts now for McAllister. Don Kelly will stand in. Kelly snapped an 0 for 10 stretch with a base hit to lead things off in the second. That was the inning in which the Tigers got the 2-run homer from Brian Peña. Ball 1 inside. Ball 2 to Kelly. Again, Austin Jackson gets the day off. Hamstring acting up a little bit sore. It was the right hamstring, and Jim Leland termed it as he can run, he just can't find that extra gear, so he decided to give him the day off. There's a strike, 2-1.
Yeah, the Indians were scheduled to have an off day tomorrow, but instead they will have to go back to Cleveland and play a doubleheader against the Yankees, and then head to the city of brotherly love. That would be Philadelphia. And they're not playing a split doubleheader. They're playing a conventional start one at 12, then the other one right after that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, I guess they would have to if they got to get to Philly. Well, they wouldn't have to, but.
Well, most teams don't do that anymore.
True.
Everybody split doubleheader these days. Can you remember the last time we had like a traditional doubleheader?
Cannot. Nope. Usually one during the day, one at night, so you get the 2 gates.
Pack a lunch.
Foul back out of play. 3-2 the count.
Kids day today. She looks scary, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. And her Mother's Day pink as well. Ooh, good pitch, but it just missed low, and Kelly has a walk. That was a close pitch. 3rd walk for McAllister. 1 on, 1 out. It's Johnny Peralta. Scored after reaching on a fielder's choice back in the 2nd. In fact, he's been on base twice, scored twice. Chisenhall threw away his ground ball in the last inning, which opened the doors for the Tigers. Breaking ball strike on the inside part of the plate.
McAllister pretty much has been working out there with just 2 pitches. He's got the fastball in the low 90s. He's got that breaking ball that he just threw to Peralta, and he also has that splitter. But he's not really that confident with that pitch. So he hasn't thrown that many of the split-fingered fastballs.
Oh, 0-2. Well, they were teaching him that pitch, I guess, in spring training, and you know it does take a while, I guess, until you form that confidence that you can throw it a lot in games.
I guess he had a little difficulty really coming up with a really good changeup, which most guys have at this level. As a matter of fact, the changeup is a pitch of choice these days.
Ground ball to short. This looks like a double play. Cabrera, Kipnis, and a 6-4-3. Nothing doing for the Tigers here in the 5th. We are headed to the 6th. 3-2 Detroit.
She did everything she could to be that strong woman, and I really appreciate that, and I love you. And all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day to you.
And on this Mother's Day all around Major League Baseball, we're going to bat against breast cancer. It's turned into a nice day here at the ballpark today. Still cloudy, overcast, temperature hanging in the upper 40s. 3-2 is our score. Tigers have the lead. Happy Mother's Day. As we head now to the 6th inning. Tigers have 7 hits. Indians have 4. Porcello back to work, and he delivers a strike to Nick Swisher.
And first pitch, breaking ball at 77 miles an hour. Always a really good pitch to a good fastball hitter like Swisher.
Swisher has gone the opposite way twice in this game. A couple of fly balls to left field. 4 out of 9 in the series now for Swisher, who signed a 4-year contract early January, right at the turn of the new year, January 3rd. Of course, Swisher went to college at Ohio State in Columbus. Here's the 0-2. Missed it outside.
There are a lot of people out there that are surprised at the start the Yankees have gotten off to this year, but Swisher is not one of those. Xfinity tells us that Rick Porcello has gotten all the way up to 94 today, as low as 76 with a curveball.
Here's the 1-2.
Yeah, Swisher was talking about guys like Vernon Wells and Travis Hafner is there. Lyle Overbay is wearing Yankee pinstripes, and all of them are doing pretty good. He says it's just something about going to New York and the level of expectations that you have to perform under. Some guys rise to the occasion.
Here's the 2-2. Got him. Strike 3. Swisher caught looking. Doesn't like it.
That is such a good pitch. It's a breaking ball that Porcello starts off the plate outside, and the action on the pitch allows it to get the corner. At least that's what Bill Miller says.
Swisher, silent protest, hung out at home plate a couple of beats. Here's Santana. Carlos 0 for 2, strikeout, flyout. Santana is a native of the Dominican Republic. Victor Martinez is a native of Venezuela, yet when Santana was following the game as a youngster, one of the guys he looked up to was Victor Martinez. And that's why he is wearing the number 41. A number shared by Victor.
Victor, good role model.
No doubt about that. The way Victor goes about his business.
That's a great story.
The way he handles himself on the field.
Did not know that he wore 41 because of Victor.
Here's the 1-1. Bouncing ball right side. The shortstop Peralta handles this one. That is going to be a 6-3, even though it was hit to the right side of the infield. Let's go back to the studio now for a game break. Here's Shannon. Here it is 3-2 with the Tigers on top of the Indians. 2 outs in the 6th inning for Ryan Rayburn.
That Baltimore Orioles team showing that last year really no fluke. They're only a game in back of the New York Yankees in the American League East.
Rayburn fouls it off. Well, we were just talking about the Yankees a minute ago. You know, I can appreciate what Swisher is saying, but still, I mean, a team without Teixeira, Granderson, and A-Rod, and, you know, all the guys that are hurt, Jeter. I'm surprised, as Ortega continues to warm, that they're in first place. But you're right, Baltimore continues to make believers out of a lot of folks.
And it's not like the other teams in the division aren't playing well, so they're not in first base placed by a fluke. Baltimore has 22 wins. Boston also has 22 wins.
Here's the 1-1. 1-2 on Rayburn.
And the Yankees are going to get Granderson back soon. I was reading where Granderson on a rehab assignment. He's already homered a couple of times. So within a week or so, they're going to get Curtis.
That's 100 now for Porcello. The 1-2. Got him. Strike 3. Rick needed that. A 1-2-3 inning. A couple of punch outs here in the 6th. We'll head to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Still a 1-run game. Comerica Park, and just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller time later in today's game. It is brought to you by Miller Lite. Brian Peña just might have provided that Miller moment. Had a 2-run homer back in the second. 2 for 2 in fact for Peña. He will start things off here in the 6th against McAllister. Peña and then Infante and then Dirks. McAllister got the big double play ball back in the 5th. There's a bunt, third base side foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. McAllister also had a very stressful 4th inning. The Tigers got a run. They loaded the bases, and McAllister had to face Cabrera and Fielder, and he got them both. Peña takes high. 2 balls and 1 strike. That's an even 100 now for McAllister, so both starting pitchers have gone over 100. Popped up, foul, and back to the seats. His activity, Brian Shaw. We've seen him in this series. Slice to left field. That's a 3-hit day for Brian Peña. And the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the 6th. Nice afternoon for Peña.
A homer and a couple of singles.
Look at what the bottom of the order has done in this series. These are updated numbers of 500 average. They scored 11 times. Here's one of the reasons why the bottom of the lineup has been so good. Omar Infante. Sac fly in his last at bat to drive in a run. McAllister had him running out of the box, 1-0. Infante has been pretty consistent. He hit over 300 in April. He's hitting well over 300 in May, 371. Tigers now have 8 hits on the board. Runner goes in the air, left center field. Stubbs cruising over, and Peña will have to retreat. He's going to bring up Andy Dirks.
Andy done changed his walk-up song. It usually comes out to a little country music.
Strikeout, ground out for Dirks. Bender drops in for a strike, 0-1. 2 for 9 now in the series for Dirks, batting leadoff today with Jackson getting an afternoon off. Dirks has been found in several different spots in the lineup this year for Jim Leyland. Drives this one to center, but Stubbs has a lot of room out there and the speed to go run it down. 2 gone. That'll leave it up to Torrey Hunter. Two singles and a strikeout for Torrey. Backs away from ball 1. Torrey came in 3 for his last 19, but he has 2 hits today.
And which gives Torrey 15 multiple hits games this year.
Popped him up and headed back to the seats. 1 ball and 1 strike on Hunter. Torrey still trying to get that next home run. He is 2 shy of 300. He has 1 home run this year. He's already piled up over 2,000 major league hits. And the 1-1 fouled straight back. Well, McAllister at 109 pitches. Peña led off the inning with a single, his 3rd hit of the game. He's still standing there. Tigers up by a run in the bottom of the 6th. Ball low. 2-2. Big man waiting on deck, Cabrera. And the 2-2. Ground ball left side, scooped up there by Chisenhall. And they will get the force to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left, 6 in the books here at Comerica. 3-2 Detroit. Afternoon, we asked you, Cabrera and Fielder are both on pace for 150 or more RBIs. Who are the last teammates to accomplish that feat? And you've got to go back to 1949, the last time that was done. Ted Williams, Vern Stevens with the 49 Boston Red Sox. Each of them had 159 runs driven in that year. And these 2 guys right now are on pace. It's going to be tough to get there, but if there's a duo that can do it,
it's raining.
Probably looking at him. On our way now to the 7th inning, and we are getting some precipitation as Miguel Cabrera is looking around, and we have a new pitcher as well. Wallside Windows pitching change, Jose Ortega.
He's been outstanding in 3 games he's pitched this year. 5 strikeouts in 4 innings, hasn't walked a batter, and other numbers, zeros across the board.
3 runs, 8 hits for Detroit. The Indians 2 runs, 4 hits. Lonnie Chisenhall leads it off. You got the bottom 3 coming up for the Indians. Chisenhall, Gomes, and Stubbs against Ortega. Porcello got him 1-2-3 in the 6th in his final inning.
Good day by Porcello. Only gave up the 2 runs. And pitching 6 innings.
Ball high from Ortega. 2 balls and 1 strike, who's been a pleasant addition to the Tigers bullpen.
Mid-90s fastball with a really good slider.
Began the year in the minor leagues, was called up from Toledo on May the 1st. Here's a 2-1. Checked it 3-1 on Chisenhall. Yan Gomes on deck. Lost him. Didn't want to do that. Ortega comes in, walks the leadoff man, tying run on the bases now.
It's the first batter that Ortega has walked since coming to the big leagues.
And now Yan Gomes, who's had himself a pretty good day. A double, a single, a run scored.
And both of the backup catchers in the game today have done good work. 3 hits for Brian Peña, 2 for Gomes.
That's in for a strike. Gomes played his college ball at Tennessee, where he was on the same ball club with J.P. Arancibia. A couple of catchers that also played together in Toronto. Here's the 0-1. Way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Closing out this series here, and then the Astros come a-calling. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series before the Tigers hit the road again.
Seems like we just got off the road.
Pack your suitcase. Going back. Here's the 1-1. Fouled straight back. 1-2 on Yan Gomes. Drew Stubbs will be next. Yesterday, Phil Coker joined the team off the disabled list, and he is now warming up in the Detroit bullpen. And the 1-2. Rolled foul. Gomes coming over from the Blue Jays along with Mike Aviles. Chisenhall drawing a throw. Ortega down at AAA. Through 14 innings in the minor leagues. Did not allow a run. And he struck out 19 in that stretch. Here's the 1-2. Hit hard to third, right by Cabrera. Into short left field. Chisenhall going to be able to take the turn. Now he's going to hold up. Looked like he might get to third base, but Dirks got there quickly and held him to second. Walk and a single, and the Indians are in business here in the 7th.
Miguel must have got glove on this ball because the ball was hit awfully hard, but once the ball got past Miguel, it just kind of slowed down. Sure did get glove on it.
Let's see what they do with Stubbs here, the number 9 hitter.
He doesn't have a bunt this year.
He has struck out twice in this game. You would assume that they will ask him to move the runner up here.
Especially with his speed. You would think he'd be a good bunter.
He squares. 0-1.
If you're Ortega in this situation and you know that he's up there bunting, you may as well throw the fastball just a little bit higher to see if you can get Stubbs to bunt the ball in the air. Brad Mills, third base coach, going through some signals.
Bunted foul, and that's going to put him in an 0-2 hole.
You may as well give it to him again. You don't see it very often, but you may as well.
Terry Francona working that bubble gum in the Indians dugout. Will swing away and take it high and inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Indians have really excelled in tight ball games this year. They are 8-3 in 1-run games. They have the tying run at second, the go-ahead run at first. We're in the 7th. And the 1-2. Swing and a miss, and Stubbs strikes out for the 3rd time in this game. That is 7 strikeouts now for Tigers pitching. Tomorrow, the Tigers battle the Houston Astros at 7:08. The first 10,000 fans receive a Doug Fister mouse pad. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com.
Now, this last pitch by Ortega is the one that allows him to have great numbers down in the minor leagues. And he's also posted some really good numbers up here with a really good slider.
It's going to be it for Ortega. The lefty Brantley due up next. Phil Koch will be summoned out of the Detroit bullpen. It's a Wallside Windows pitching change. Here comes Koch sprinting in, and the Tigers holding on to a 1-run lead. Brought to you by AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. Back here at Comerica Park in a 1-run game on Mother's Day 2013. And Phil Koch has come out of the bullpen now. Don't forget the Wings and Ducks tonight from the West Coast. Game 7. And apparently they're having duck. Here is Brantley to face the lefty Koch. 2 on 1 out.
And Michael Brantley hitting over 300 this year against left-handed pitching.
Koch was able to pitch 2 scoreless rehab innings at Toledo. And a ground ball to second. Infante, Peralta, and a double play. It's as easy as 4-6-3 as Phil Koch stomps off the mound, and the double play ends the inning. Nicely done, Phil. Welcome back.
early goings of this game. It was a 2-run shot by Brian Peña. He has 3 hits today. Jason Kipnis has been pretty good in the entire series for the Tribe. He drives in their 2 runs, and Omar Infante once again a sacrifice fly. So that's the scoring here today. The Tigers lead 3-2.
Tigers in this one with 8 hits. They have stranded 8. And Cleveland with 5 hits. They've stranded 5. Time now for today's Ace Hardware Scott's Fan Poll. Question of the game: of these 4, which Cleveland offseason addition will make the biggest impact in your mind? Is it A, Mark Reynolds, B, Nick Swisher, C, Michael Bourne, D, Scott Kazmir? Text ACE, then a space, then A, B, C, or D to 37338. And make your selection. We've got a new pitcher now for the Cleveland Indians. That would be Brian Shaw.
And pretty good numbers for Shaw. 117 earned run average, 18 strikeouts. He's only walked 5. He's pitched 15 in the 3rd innings already out of that bullpen for the Tribe.
It'll be Miguel Cabrera to lead it off. Cabrera, Fielder, Martinez, and Miggy already 2 for 3 today, averaging 382. Tigers trying to add some runs here to a 1-run spread. Cabrera, Fielder, Martinez in the bottom of the 7th. McAllister is done. Shaw is in. 111 pitches for McAllister before departing. Cabrera backs out on the ball inside. Indians picked up Shaw from the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-team trade with Cincinnati back in December. The 1-0. Lifted down the right field line. This will slice toward the seats, and a sliding attempt by Rayburn, unable to get it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I thought this ball was going to get well up into the seats down the right field line, but there's a lot of wind up there that was pushing that ball back, and Rayburn was almost able to get there.
Cabrera singled in the 1st, singled in the 3rd. Came up in a big spot in the 4th. Bases loaded with 1 out, and McAllister got him to pop up. Ball low and away, 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Fouled off, 2-2. Fielder waiting on deck. Rain starting to fall again. Been nothing major. Intermittent rain.
Looks like a mixture of snow.
Yeah, it does. I wouldn't doubt that it is. With the temperature right now at 49, it feels much colder than that. With the wind blowing. 3-2. And he walked him. Shaw walks the leadoff man. He's going to bring up Fielder. Fielder has a walk of his own that came back in the 3rd, 0 for 2 otherwise. Way outside, 1-0. 3 runs, 8 hits for Detroit, 2 runs, 5 hits for the Indians. You've had a total of 13 left on base between the 2 ball clubs. Here's the 1-0. Fielder is ahead in the count, and now Shaw is digging a bit of a hole here with the leadoff walk. And 2-0 on Fielder. Prince at 307. He's hit 7 home runs, including a long one in game 1 of the series. We'll take a hack at that one and foul it back out of play. 2-1. Two and two now on Fielder. Here are the top RBI duos in the major leagues this season. Cabrera and Fielder have combined for 73 RBIs. The next closest duo is in Baltimore. They have 58. And then over in the National League, Frazier and Phillips at 56. These guys are number 1. Breaking ball and a dandy, and Fielder knew it. He is out of there looking at strike 3.
We're going to make it our Bell Tire pitch by pitch. Shaw fell behind Prince Fielder. 2 balls, no strikes. Came back with a fastball at 93. He fouled off the next one at 93, and then he followed that up with a really good breaking ball at 80 miles an hour that caught the outside corner.
Here comes the former Indian, Victor Martinez. Victor is 0 for 3 in this game, couple of strikeouts. Strike 1. Victor made 3 All-Star teams in his time in Cleveland. He was selected to the American League All-Star game in 04, 07, and 09 with the Indians. Ball away, 1-1. Martinez came into this game having put up impressive numbers against his former team. 353. Skies this one in the air. Right center field. Stubbs is over. Second out of the inning. And Cabrera retreating to first base. They'll bring up Don Kelly. On base twice today in his spot start for Austin Jackson. Single walk for Kelly. In for strike 1. Kelly had a base hit back in the second, which snapped an 0 for 10. He came in with that 0 for 10 slow. Here's the 0-1. Quickly 0-2 on Don Kelly. Good breaking ball there by Shaw. Cabrera at first base. 2 outs in the 7th. And a drive to right field, straight on a line. Rayburn will make the catch to end the inning. No runs, a walk. It's stranded. We go to the 8th. here in Comerica. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen back here on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, moms, by the way, here today. And Rod, pretty good effort today by Rick Porcello. That's 3 in a row now in which he's pitched pretty well. Gave up a 2-run double early, but really after that, not a whole lot.
And they were a little concerned with Porcello because he hadn't gotten the ball since May 2nd to start in Houston, but he had a good two-seamer, good breaking balls, had some good changeups too.
You know, I guess in some ways this was somewhat of a statement series for the Cleveland Indians. They came in red hot. The Tigers beat them up in the first game, but they bounced back nicely in the second game. This one a pretty even contest. This might be a good season series between these two teams.
Well, you have to give Cleveland a lot of credit because the Tigers beat up on them in the first game of this series on Friday. The score was 10-4, and Max really manhandled them, but they battled back in last night's game. They beat Justin Verlander, and they've been pretty good this year in very close games. Their record, they've won 8 one-run games already this year, and this right now is a one-run game.
Well, Phil Koch came on and got a big double play ball back in the 7th, and he'll go back to work here in the 8th. In fact, he threw just one pitch and got a double play from Michael Brantley. Jason Kipnis will lead it off here in the 8th. 2, 3, and 4 on the way for the Cleveland Indians. And it is strike one to Kipnis, who is responsible for the 2 Cleveland runs today. 2-run double off Porcello back in the 3rd. And just 5 hits this afternoon for the Indians as well. Here's the 0-1. Straightened him up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phil Koch went on the disabled list with a strained groin. That was late in April. It dives in for a strike, 1 and 2. Tigers, when they had needed to, have gotten some really good performances from the minor leagues, dipping down and getting Paconin, Ortega. Here's the 1-2. Grounded foul. Tiger bullpen ERA 3.81 entering play here today. Koch a big part of it, though. He is the late game lefty. A 1-2 off the mask of Peña. That rattled his cage a bit. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Kipnis. In his high school days was an outstanding athlete, was a really good football player, was an outstanding wide receiver, but he was also an outstanding soccer player. Not to mention baseball, of course. And Koch's 2-2. Lifted in the air, right field. Plenty of room out there. Hunter cruising over. Torrey drifting back for the out. 1 away here in the 8th inning. Hey, Polish American Night is Friday, May 24th. Enjoy live polka music and dancing prior to the 7:08 game against Minnesota. To purchase a special ticket and t-shirt package, check it out online at tigers.com/Polish. Polish American Night on May 24th here at the Yard. Phil Koch has done his job. Retires the 2 men he faces. Back to the bullpen they go, and we'll be back.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms in the world, special to mine. I think it's a special day, and hopefully everybody enjoy it.
Happy Mother's Day for you, Mama, and for all the mothers.
And on this Mother's Day all around Major League Baseball, we're going to bat against breast cancer. Happy Mother's Day. Here's our Comerica Bank game summary. The Tigers 7 through 9 hitters in this series. Awfully good. 483. Brian Peña having a day. 3 for 3 with a 2-run shot. Rick Porcello really good today. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks. And Joaquin Benoit takes over now here in the 8th.
And last 5 outings for Benoit, pitching 1 inning in each of those outings. He's been very good. Has not been scored upon. Numbers this year outstanding. 1.65 ERA for the Tigers setup man.
Facing Asdrubal Cabrera here with 1 out in the 8th. Benoit 7 punch outs in his last 5 innings. Cabrera is 0 for 3, hit into a double play, ending the 5th. Indians have hit into a couple of double plays. 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th.
That was a big play. And Porcello was in the game at that time, and Infante had to make a glove shiftment to take that base hit away from bad hot base hit. It was off the bat of Cabrera.
3-1 the count. Swisher will be next. He's waiting on deck. Drilled foul down the right field line. Only 5 hits for the Indians offense today. They got a couple of runs in the 3rd. That's been it. (3-2) on Cabrera. Began his career with the Seattle Mariners. Did not get to the big leagues with Seattle. Was in the minor leagues until dealt over to Cleveland. And the full count pitch. Rolled foul again.
When he first got to the big leagues, he was playing second base, and Peralta was playing shortstop at that time for the Tribe. But they felt like Cabrera would be an upgrade at shortstop. They moved Johnny to third. And in that same year, the Tigers were able to acquire Johnny Peralta toward the tail end of the season.
Well, Peralta's been a great pickup for the Tigers. Off to a nice start again this year after a bit of a subpar year last year. Again, the 3-2. And he walked him. So Benoit issues the free pass. That's the tying run here in the 8th. Here's Swisher. He's 0 for 3. I mentioned the Tigers have 8 hits in this game, 7 of them singles, and the 1 home run off the bat of Brian Peña. Swisher, couple of fly balls. He struck out back in the 6th. Missed it outside, 1-0. Benoit follows Koch, who followed Ortega. 3 guys out of the bullpen today for Jim Leland after the starter. Porcello gave him 6 strong innings. Rick struck out 6. Fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Swisher came in having a really good series. He was 4 for 7, but 0 for 3 today. They've quieted him down a little bit. In fact, Swisher had a chance at a cycle in the first game, fell a home run short of the cycle. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's Asdrubal Cabrera. Tying run at first base. We're in the 8th. Missed it outside again. 2 balls and 1 strike. Benoit appeared in 73 games last year for the Tigers. And that was a career high. Jim Leland will lead on him quite a bit again this year. And before Valverde was signed, he received a lot of the save opportunities for Detroit. The 2-1. Make it 2-2 on Swisher.
Didn't Jim anoint him the Tigers closer shortly before Valverde was called up?
He did. I don't think he really wanted to jump in with 2 feet on that from the beginning of the season, but as it started to shake out, it seemed that Benoit was going to be the guy that he was going to lean on. And then all of a sudden Valverde was signed. Went to the minor leagues, pitched a little bit down there, and now Papa Grande back in the closer's role, and he's been really good. Two balls, 2 strikes. Again, fouled out of play. Swisher has had solid, if not spectacular, numbers in the major leagues. He spent the last 4 years with the New York Yankees. So he's been good for 20 homers or so. We've got Santana waiting on deck. Swisher had 24 last year with the Yankees, but he knocked in 93 runs. .256 lifetime in a career that began with the Oakland Athletics. Spent 1 year in Chicago, the only year that he really struggled with the bat. Hit .219 that year, but still pretty good power. Swing and a miss. Benoit picks up a big strikeout there. 2 gone.
Outstanding pitch by Benoit to change up at 84 miles an hour. The other pitches were all fastballs to Swisher that Swisher was able to foul off. So that's the art of pitching. You speed the bat up, then you slow it back down with a good off-speed pitch.
That'll be 8 strikeouts for Tigers pitching in this game. That's going to leave it up to Santana here in the 8th. Carlos 0 for 3, strikeout. Ground out, fly out. Strike 1. Santana came into this game hitting .400 on the road. Really good away from his home ballpark. But when you look at his numbers against Benoit, these are pretty telling. 1 for 12.
At one knock, a grand slam.
Koch retired the first man that he faced here in the 8th. Benoit came on, walked Cabrera, but has struck out Swisher. And the 0-1. It'll get back out of play. 0-2. And Benoit needs 1 more strike. The Tigers in the bottom of the 8th will have the bottom of their lineup. Peralta, Peña, and Infante due up.
That bottom of the lineup's been real good this entire series for the Tigers.
Torrey Hunter is playing really deep out in right field, just a couple of steps in front of the warning track. With that tying run at first base. Outstanding job by Koch today. Got a double play ball on one pitch in the 7th. Ended that frame and then retired the leadoff man here in the 8th. Cabrera jockeying off the bag at first base, forcing Benoit to step off. And the 0-2. Outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rayburn on deck. Runner goes. And a swing and a miss struck him out. Santana is out of there. 9 strikeouts for Tigers pitching in this game. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, but the bottom of the lineup coming up. Peralta, Peña, and Infante due up. Well, it's a 3-2 ball game as we go to the bottom of the 8th here at Comerica Park. We'll see if the Tigers can get some insurance runs here. 3 runs, 8 hits Detroit, 2 runs, 5 hits for the visiting Indians. Final game in this 3-game series. Johnny Peralta leads it off and looks at strike 1. Bottom 3 for Detroit: Peralta, Peña, and Infante. Tigers hoping to take 2 out of 3 here before the Astros come in. Here's the 0-1. Lifted in the air to right. Rayburn backing up now, coming in. 1 gone.
Let's take a look at the Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game, and it was Peña, Brian Peña, that got the Tigers on the board first here in the game, and he was freaky fast.
Oh my goodness.
Around the bases as well.
That was real time, folks. No, I'm kidding. They sped that up a little bit.
Just a little.
Peña 3 for 3. 2-run shot, 2 singles. Pops this one up. Third base side. They're finally going to get him. Chisenhall. 2 gone. Indians will have Rayburn, Chisenhall, and Gomes due up when we get to the 9th. Shaw trying to make sure it stays a 1-run game. Papa Grande loosening up for a potential save opportunity. Infante, sac fly to drive in a run in the 4th inning, otherwise 0 for 2. That'll bounce in, 1 ball to no strikes. Omar now with 14 RBIs. Really can't understate the importance the bottom of the lineup has been to the Tigers really in all 3 games in this series. All 3 of their RBIs tonight or today coming from the bottom part of the lineup. Ball in, making him bend out of the way. 2-0. Peña 2-run shot and the Infante sac fly. Two balls and 1 strike.
Nice contribution. 7, 8, 9 hitters in the series. .452 batting average.
Popped him up. Shallow left field. Cabrera going back. But it's going to be the left fielder Brantley, and it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning. Here comes Papa Grande as we go to the 9th. It is last call time for the Cleveland Indians, and well, there he is, Jose Valverde, looking for a save here.
And Papa Grande has not been scored upon since signing with the Tigers. He had 3 outings with the Lakeland Flying Tigers. He didn't get scored upon there, and he hasn't been scored upon since he's been here. And he's converted all of his saves. He is 3 of 3.
Looks like Michael Bourne's going to pick up a bat and pinch hit. Rayburn was due up, but Bourne will hit for him. Then Chisenhall. Right now the Indians down by a run. Tigers trying to take 2 out of 3 in this series, and if they do, they will win their 21st of the season. MLB.com at Bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Detroit Tigers baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at Bat to 31826. So here's Michael Bourne, who got the day off. He'll try and get something started. 2 for 10 in the series, couple of runs scored. He had 2 singles in last night's game. Also stole a base. And Valverde's main mission right now, keeping him off the base paths. And Bourne takes ball 1. 9th inning is underway. 3 runs, 8 hits for Detroit. Cleveland 2 runs, 5 hits. Here's the 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Cabrera's on the grass at third, guarding against the bunt from the speedy Bourne. Now Valverde's 2-0 pitch. Strike called on the outside corner. Bourne taking a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Valverde had his contract purchased from Lakeland prior to the Tigers game on April 24th. Here's the 2-1. Way outside, 3-1.
Papa Grande showed up a lot earlier than many thought he would show up. And the Tigers had until the first week of May to decide whether they wanted to bring Valverde up to the major leagues or not. And had they not brought him up, he could have opted out of his deal and signed with another team.
5th in Tigers history in saves. Strike called. Bourne was on his way to first. Needs to make a U-turn. Bill Miller called him back. 3-2. And he walked it. Leadoff man is on. A pinch hit walk for Bourne. Now Chisenhall.
Yeah, Michael Bourne will not stay at first base very long. Valverde does not have a good move, and he does not get the ball to the catcher in enough time to really throw Bourne out if Bourne's in a running mood.
81% in his career, 2 out of 2 this year. No balls, 1 strike on Lonnie Chisenhall.
Valverde needs to make sure he stops. Doesn't want to get called for a balk. He was rather quick in his exchange that last pitch to Chisenhall.
Out of the bullpen today for the Tigers, Ortega, Koch, who pitched really well. Then Benoit, who struck out up here in the 8th. There goes the runner. Big jump, too. Here comes Peña's throw. Going to be tardy. No shot at all for Brian Peña. And just like that, tying run is at second base. And nobody out. What a tremendous weapon Bourne can be with his speed.
Valverde's about 1-4, 1-5 getting the ball to home plate, and you're not going to throw out a guy like Michael Bourne. In order to really give your catcher an opportunity, you have to be anywhere from 1-1 to 1-3 in getting the ball out of your hand into his glove.
Way inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Now Peña runs out to the mound.
Michael Bourne is one of those guys that's really not afraid to steal third base. It would be risky in this situation, but he has done a lot of it in his big league career.
3-1 on Chisenhall.
Valverde having a difficult time of locating his fastball to the left-handed batters. Just about every fastball has been up and away to the left-handers.
The 3-1 pitch. Make it 3-2 on Chisenhall. Yan Gomes waiting on deck. He's had a nice day, 3 hits. Valverde has walked the leadoff man, Michael Bourne, the pinch hitter. He has just stolen second base, representing the tying run in a 3-2 game here in the ninth. Fouled straight back.
Valverde has thrown nothing but fastballs in this inning. 12 pitches, 12 heaters, all around 92 to 94.
Valverde in his career against Cleveland came in with 14 lifetime saves, an ERA of 1.71. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Chisenhall is out. Big out there for Jose.
Yeah, Chisenhall may have helped out Valverde there, chasing ball 4. Ball appeared to look like it was up and out of the strike zone.
Here is Yan Gomes. Well, that's a start for Jose. Gomes 3 for 3, batting .275. He has doubled in this game. He has scored a run. Backs him out of there, 1-0.
Omar Infante at second base has a responsibility of playing right in the back pocket of Michael Bourne, who was standing there because of the fact that he stole third base 9 times last year. Was caught 3 times. But with a right-hander up and just 1 out, Bourne might be entertaining the thought of stealing third here.
Popped up. See if there's a play. Prince has room. 2 gone.
That wind up in that direction is knocking down everything. You can't give up on the ball up in the air that's hit to that side of the field here today. Big out for Papa Grande.
So Giambi will pinch hit for Stubbs. And Bourne is still at second base. 2 gone now. Stubbs had struck out 3 times in the game. Giambi batting .225. Has a couple of RBIs in the series. Ball 1. Career as a pinch hitter, Giambi just .238. Trying to lengthen this ball game with a base hit to tie Bourne. Fouled away, and a big rip there by Giambi. 1 ball, 1 strike. 42 years of age, Jason Giambi. Here's Valverde's 1-1. 2-1 on Giambi. Indians signed him to a contract in February. Was added to their major league roster on March 25th. 431 lifetime home runs for Giambi. He'd settle for a base hit right here. The 2-1. Fouled away.
Giambi said it was an easy decision for him to sign with the Cleveland Indians. He said he'd always wanted to play for Terry Francona. There are a lot of big league players that feel the same way about Terry.
Here comes the crowd. On Mother's Day here, Valverde needs one more strike. Here's the 2-2. Low, 3-2. Brantley waiting on deck.
Valverde has yet to throw anything but a fastball. 20 pitches thrown in the inning and not one split-fingered fastball.
Three-two pitch. Off the plate, ball 4. Giambi has the pinch hit walk. Second walk in the inning now for Jose Valverde.
Michael Brantley actually scares me more than Giambi.
I agree.
And the reason for that is Brantley doesn't take big swings. Just one of those kind of table setter guys who just kind of puts the ball in play. And they're always dangerous with runners in scoring position.
Aviles will come on a pinch run for Giambi. He would be the go-ahead run at first base. 3-2 Tigers. We're in the 9th. And Brantley has a single, a walk, and he's also hit into a double play in this game. Oh, 1.
Kind of tells you too how the hamstring of Austin Jackson is feeling here today. The fact that he is not in center field in a very close game in the 9th inning. No disrespect to Don Kelly, but in these situations in the past, Jackson would be in the game, no doubt.
Jackson given the full day off here this afternoon. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 23 pitches in this game for Valverde, trying to nail down this 1-run save. And doing his best to keep his pitching hand warm. A chilly afternoon here. Temperature's been in the 40s all afternoon. Now the 1-1. Sliced into left. That's a base hit. Here comes Bourne rounding third. They'll send him home. Here's a throw. Not in time. It's a 2-out RBI single by Michael Brantley, and we are tied at 3. The walk to Bourne comes in to score. And the first blown save for Valverde.
Nice professional at bat by Brantley. And we knew that he would be dangerous. Valverde throwing only fastballs. That last one at 94. Hit right past Johnny Peralta. Firm throw by Andy Dirks, but off the mark. And with Bourne's speed, not going to get him.
Here is Kipnis. Ball 1. 3 runs on 6 hits now for Cleveland. 3 runs, 8 hits Detroit, and you see the ratio on Valverde. He has struggled to throw strikes. Clutch 2-out knock by Brantley, his second hit today. The 1-0 to Kipnis. Strike called. 1-1.
And Valverde finally made an adjustment on that last fastball to get it in to Kipnis. Everything else to the left-handers. He's been missing away.
Now Aviles at second becomes the go-ahead run. Strike called, and it's 1-2 now on Kipnis.
There will be no win here today for Porcello, who pitched 6 good innings, giving up 2 runs.
Brantley and Aviles on the base pass with 2 outs. 27 thrown now by Jose. Here's the 1-2. Fouled straight back. Tigers peeking ahead to the bottom of the 9th now. We'll have the top of the lineup, Dirks, Hunter, Cabrera. Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss to strike him out, but it comes one batter too late. Kipnis is out of there. And the Indians able to tie it up on the RBI single by Michael Brantley. Bourne comes in to score. It's 3-3. $18.49. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives to Motor City. And by Wallside Windows, the official window company of Fox Sports Detroit. Well, the Tigers trying to keep this one from going extra innings. The Indians tied up with a run in the top of the 9th. 2-out RBI single by Michael Brantley. And so Detroit now will face a new pitcher. Joe Smith has come on here in the bottom of the 9th.
We saw Joe Smith in last night's game. He's got great numbers. The earned run average is under 1. He throws from down under. And for a right-handed pitcher, he got some sink on his fastball at about 90 miles an hour and a slurvy breaking ball.
Michael Bourne stays in the game playing center field. And Mike Aviles stays in the game, plays right field. Andy Dirks will lead things off, then Torrey Hunter and Miguel Cabrera. Ball 1 to Dirks. Andy walked, did not score in the 4th inning, otherwise 0 for 3. Strike called. 1-1. There's a base hit to left. He went the other way and found a hole. Winning run is on. Leadoff single by Dirks. By the way, as soon as this game ends, our coverage is just getting going. Tigers Live coming up here from manager Jim Leyland. The players will have all the highlights. Tigers Live immediately after this one is over from the Call Sam Studios here on Fox Sports Detroit.
And Torrey Hunter will bunt for a base hit on occasion there for Chisenhall, the third baseman, playing even with the bag down at third.
They let that one go by. 1-0.
And earlier in the game, Torrey, his first base hit of the day back in the 1st inning. Chisenhall was in at the cut of the grass, and Torrey hit one right by him.
One of 2 Hunter hits in this game, singled in the first, singled in the fourth. One ball, one strike.
And here's that first hit for Torrey today, with Chisenhall playing in at the cut of the grass right by him because he knows he will bunt. Torrey looked like that was more of a sacrifice bunt there, and doesn't look as comfortable in the sacrificing bunting mode as he does when bunting for a base hit. Sometimes managers will tell you to treat it like you're bunting for a base hit just to get the job done.
Trying to get Dirks to second base with Cabrera lurking. And now Torrey again showing bunt, lays it down foul. So it's 1-2.
As a rule of thumb, when you're bunting in sacrificing situation, you want to get that bat out in front of home plate. And Torrey, you can see the bat head drops there and the bat is behind the plate. As a result of that, the only place that you can bunt that ball is into foul territory. You got to get that bat out in front of home plate, into fair territory.
Smith last year had 21 holds. Inside, even the count now, 2-2 on Hunter.
They've got a good bullpen this year, but their bullpen was outstanding last year with Smith and who was it, Vinny Pastano that was setting up for Perez last year?
Yeah, Vinny's on the DL right now.
They were pretty good.
Pastano was really good. Pastano on the DL, Blake Wood on the DL, Tomlin on the DL, Herman on the DL. Quite a few pitchers inactive. The 2-2. Running a breaking ball at that time, fouled back out of play. Smith coming on here in the ninth. Shaw pitching 2 scoreless in relief for the Indians. McAllister started for them. Bouncing ball right back to the mound. This might be 2. Tough throw, tough turn, and they got it anyway. What a play by Cabrera.
How in the world does he turn that over after he got that horrible feed from the pitcher, Joe Smith?
It was Kipnis with a circus play last night, and Cabrera here today.
I didn't think there was any chance they were going to turn 2 here. Not with Hunter running. It's amazing that Cabrera was able to get anything on his throw, and throwing flat-footed and also throwing off the right foot.
Like a ballerina. Great play by Asdrubal Cabrera. Here is Miguel Cabrera now with 2 outs. Ball 1. 3-3 game. We're in the 9th inning. Good numbers against Joe Smith. 350 with a couple of long balls. High fly ball, right field. Aviles going back, gonna have room right in front of the warning track. Inning is over, and we've got extra innings on Mother's Day. At the ballpark, extra innings on Mother's Day here at Comerica. Time now for the upcoming pitching matchups presented by Gordon Chevrolet. And here's how we'll line them up against the visiting Houston Astros beginning tomorrow.
Yeah, Tigers saw Norris. They also saw Harrell when they were in Texas last week. Tigers will counter with Sanchez, Pfister, and Scherzer.
They saw Keuchel as well. Keuchel pitched in relief in that game. And so that series begins tomorrow night at our coverage at 6 p.m. 7:08 start time tomorrow evening. But there's something to settle here, and that would be this series finale, and the Tigers go back to the bullpen. Darren Downs will check in.
And last few weeks, the bullpen has been one of the strengths of the Tigers. Of course, the Valverde struggled here today, but Ortega was pretty good, Coke good, and let's hope Downs is up for the challenge here today.
Here come the Indians. It'll be Cabrera, Swisher, Santana, middle of their lineup. RBI single by Michael Brantley in the 9th inning tied it up.
If you're Downs, you have to be careful with these three batters if you're going to pitch inside.
0-1 on Cabrera.
And good first pitch changeup with the wind blowing out the way that it's blowing out. You don't want to go inside unless you really go in there aggressively off the plate. These three guys got some power.
Tigers have already played 5 extra inning games this year. This will be their 6th.
A couple of 14-inning affairs.
And they are 2-3. The Indians have played only 2. This is their 3rd. They're 2-0. 0-2. on Asdrubal Cabrera. Ball high, 1-2. 3 runs, 9 hits for Detroit, 9 left, and for the Indians, 3 runs, 6 hits, 8 left.
That last pitch by Downs, Jim doesn't necessarily care for the ball that's up that a hitter can see right out of the pitcher's hands, so he doesn't even attempt to swing at it.
Pulled to third, fair ball down the line. That'll bang against the fence, and Asdrubal Cabrera will head to second with a leadoff double. The Indians have the go-ahead runner now in scoring position.
He got ahead of him with a couple of really good changeups that were down and away that he swung right through. He came back with another changeup. This one was down but got more plate, and that allowed Cabrera to get to it and hit it right past Miguel, who appeared to be playing right on that line, but somehow Cabrera was able to sneak it past him.
It'll bring up Nick Swisher. Struck out his last time up. In fact, he's 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts.
It's the 10th, the double of the season for Asdrubal Cabrera.
Drops down a bunt foul. 7th hit of the game for the Indians. Swisher has been cooled here this afternoon after having a couple of pretty good games in games 1 and 2 in this series. He's had 3 extra base hits. Indians become a difficult team to match up with late in games in these types of situations because they have 3 switch hitters in the 3, 4, and 5 spots. Cabrera, Swisher, and Santana waiting on deck.
3 switch hitters with power,
which makes it doubly difficult. Here's the 1-1. Tap toward third, foul. 1-2 on Swisher. Downs replacing Valverde, who pitched the 9th. Runner goes to third, and it's grounded toward first base. Downs quickly makes the throw to get the out. Cabrera was on the move to third base, and he would have made it. Swisher's out 1-3.
That's a full swing by Swisher right off the end of the bat. And Downs was able to go over and get it before the ball rolled foul. And to get the out at first.
Santana will get the intentional pass. That'll leave runners at first and third, and they will deal with Bourne waiting on deck to set the lefty-lefty. And ball 4 will be next. Bourne came on, got the big leadoff walk in the 9th inning, eventually scored the game-tying run. So that'll put 2 aboard. Here are those extra inning records we were talking about. Infield coming in for the Tigers. Cabrera the runner at third. And they have Santana down at first base. Little chopper hit slowly towards short. They're going to come home. The throw, the tag, and he is out at home plate. Peña holds on. Cabrera is out. What a huge out for the Tigers.
A gamble there by the Cleveland Indians. Even though Asdrubal Cabrera has speed, it's not a wise play to come on contact, and it's right to Johnny Peralta. He's about as sure-handed as that position as you can get with a very accurate arm, and Peña stays right in there and blocks the plate.
Peña did not give an inch. Took the contact and applied the tag. Two gone now with runners at first and second. Mark Reynolds going to pinch hit. He'll bat for Chisenhall. Big turn of events there.
And Jeff Jones going to go out and make sure that Peña and also Downs understand the scouting report on Mark Reynolds. Tigers won a game earlier this year on a 10-game road trip out west. Perfect throw to fielder, and then you have Justin Smoke that tries to barrel over Peña, but Peña was able to hold on to it. Tigers went on to win that game.
Not quite the same violent collision here, but there was contact.
Yeah, Justin Smoke, big boy, about 6'5", 235, 240.
So here's Reynolds now with 2 outs.
Reynolds got the pink shoes today.
Swing and a miss. Got the high tops going.
I don't think I've seen the pink bats and sweatbands and a lot of the other pink gear, but boy, I don't think I've ever seen the pink shoes.
Reynolds has not excelled as a pinch hitter, just 118. Trying to put his team ahead here with 2 outs. Now he's behind in the count 0-2.
If you do go upstairs to Reynolds, you better be careful. He's a good high fastball hitter. And you need to go way up if you don't want him to hurt you. Got 11 homers this year, which leads the American League.
Santana, go ahead run at second base, Bourne at first. Just off the plate. Downs thought he had it. A little bit wide, 1-2. Ground ball left side into left field, a base hit. Santana rounding third. He will come in to score. And they've got Bourne in a rundown between second and third. Now Cabrera will run him back. And he will finally be tagged out. But the go-ahead run has come in for the Cleveland Indians on a pinch hit RBI single by Mark Reynolds. A clutch knock for Reynolds off the bench. And it's now 4-3 Cleveland. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Well, the Tigers are down by a run now as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning here at Comerica Park. And the Indians go right back to the bullpen trying to protect a 1-run lead. Rich Hill has come in for Cleveland.
And 352 earned run average for Hill in 11 games, 10 strikeouts. And the opponents are hitting 154 against him.
Fielder will be the first man he faces, and for Prince, lefties have not been an issue. They have Cody Allen still warming up. Got Victor next, then Don Kelly would be due up. But this year, Prince bats .361 against left-handed pitching.
Hey, apparently, and Chris Perez not available today after what he had to go through last night. 22 pitches to get the save, but maybe a little bit too stressful to come back in here for today's save.
Interesting, though, he was earlier in the game warming up, but it doesn't appear he's going to come on here in the 10th. There's a strike called on Prince Fielder.
It may have been one of those situations where he said, I'll give it to you if I can, and got up to throw and then sent word, maybe not good to go today. We'll see. Tigers are able to score this game up. He might have to come in later.
4-3. Cleveland a run in the 9th and one in the 10th. Prince takes a strike, 0-2. Here are the splits we talked about. 361 versus lefties.
It's no fluke either, because he hit .290 last year all season against left-handers.
In the air, center field. Bourne going back all the way to the warning track to pull that one in. One out. We'll bring up Victor Martinez. Over a 4-day today for Victor. Couple of strikeouts, couple of fly balls, .214 batting average. Sliced foul down the right field line. Tigers have out hit the Indians today 9-8, but they're down by a run. Each team has stranded 9 in this contest. Go ahead hit comes off the bench. Reynolds an RBI single.
First place on the line here today. Indians came in trailing the Tigers by just 1 run in the standings.
That slides in for a strike, and now it's 0-2. Well, the Indians didn't fold the tent after they were blasted in the first game by the Tigers offense.
Could have very easily done that too, especially with Verlander pitching for Detroit last night.
Tigers had a 10-4 win in that opener. Fouled away. But they earned a 1-run victory last night, and they're leading by 1 here in extras today. I wonder how many packs of bubble gum Terry Francona goes through on a nightly basis.
Used to be tobacco. He gave that up.
Good move. Fouled off.
Therefore, he chomps on that bubble gum all day.
No balls, 2 strikes. Keeping his dentist in business.
That's right.
Unless it's sugar free, of course. 0-2. Into the glove for strike 3. Martinez is out. Hill gets a fly ball and a strikeout, 2 away. So it's going to be up to Tuiasosopo, who will pinch hit for Kelly. Here comes Terry Francona out. Hill does his job by getting 2 batters. Cody Allen now will be summoned from the bullpen to try and get this final out. So a pitching change here at the ballpark. We'll be back. 4-3 Cleveland.
Game summer, the Tigers took the lead in the 4th inning. It came on a sac fly off the bat of Omar Infante, and it stayed that way all the way to the 9th inning. Papa Grande's 29th pitch to be through was laced the opposite way by Michael Brantley. That tied the score. And then Mark Reynolds pinch hitting with a couple of outs, got one at the bottom of the zone off Darren Downs, and he drove in what could be the winning run here.
So Reynolds made it a 1-run game, and now it'll be Allen to try and get the final out to preserve it.
And if he's able to do that, that will be his first career save. He is currently 0 for 2 in save situations.
Matt Tuiasosopo pinch hitting. Ball 1 to Tuiasosopo. .333 this year from Matt. Shoots it foul, back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Allen's got a really good arm, 95 with his fastball. He sits at 95. If you weren't with us last night, we told you he was the second member of the 2011 draft that made it to the big leagues. He got to the show last year for the Tribe.
Trying to get that final out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike called on the outer edge. Tuiasosopo this year 2 out of 7 as a pinch hitter, including the pinch hit home run that he hit in Washington. Got 4 pinch hit RBIs as well. And the 1-2 outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hill got the first 2 outs, the fly out from Fielder, the strikeout of Martinez. Reynolds right now has the go-ahead RBI. Little house cleaning work in front of the plate. 2-2, the count stays on Matt. Swing and a miss to strike him out, and the Cleveland Indians come to town And they take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. An Indians team that won 8 of 9 on the homestand before hitting the road, and a good start to their road trip.
And looks like the Cleveland Indians are going to be around for the majority of the summer.
There's your final score in 10. As the Indians score a run in the top of the inning, they make it hold up, and they win 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. We'll be back with more from Comerica.